Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 7th meeting of the Village of New Paltz Planning Board. Besides our regular administrative business, we have two public hearings tonight, followed by four application reviews. To begin, I'd like to look at the meeting minutes from the September 16th meeting. Were there any changes or corrections for that?
No.
In that case, could I have a motion to approve the September 16th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, are there any updates from our Village Board and Ulster County Planning Board liaison?
Evening, thank you for your work. No real significant updates. Ulster County Planning Board meets tomorrow, so there's nothing to report from that. The Village Board still has a public hearing open for 25 mile per hour speed limit reduction throughout the village. So that's still being discussed. Also, Mr. Mike Bain is, I believe, presented you with code changes and edits and all that business, and appreciate you all looking at paying close attention to it. But if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them or try to help you. Good.
Questions about the code?
No, anything. Anything, just, you know,
Why?
Yankees.
About the pilot. Now, we had some reassurance that even
Yeah.
if they were getting a pilot, that somehow the fire and rescue was still going to be covered. And I want to know how that was. Sorry.
Excuse me, can you please be quiet back there?
No, you can continue. I just
Oh,
was
okay.
having a hard time hearing.
Got you.
Yes, so, is there money that's allocated for that? Like, I mean, let's say
So you're speaking of 151 North Chestnut
speaking of-
LLC.
any pilot,
Oh,
because there's
okay.
a
Well,
whole
that-
bunch of them out now.
Yeah,
And what I was told was that somehow, if this pilot is granted, that the fire and rescue is still somehow going to be covered. Like somehow that money is still going to come in so that we won't find ourselves, you know, if we have to go with a private, you know, we have to go with paid firefighters or whatever, suddenly at a deficit.
right. Okay, every pilot's different, every application is different in terms of what the ask is. I'm unaware of specifically some sort of carve out for rescue and fire department with this particular application, 151.
Is fire and ambulance part of the village budget?
Yes, the village and town share expenses.
So the taxes are all one and the same, the village taxes include those.
Right. Mhm.
In the town.
Yeah, in town.
The town pays the village for fire, so. I don't think there's a separate fire tax.
Yeah.
No. There isn't.
So the carve out, Rachel, is if there was a separate fire tax collected in municipalities that have an independent fire department that is not through the municipality. There's a separate fire tax that is exempt from being included in the file. But in New Paltz, that would not be the case. Rescue, I don't know that they're a private agency. Is it funded? How is it funded? It is funded.
Also insurance.
So this pilot, it doesn't just come from the tax that's taken by the county, it also comes out of the village and town. So that's why fire and rescue wouldn't necessarily be covered. So you could theoretically have a building with all these people moving into it and not be collecting enough money to cover fire and rescue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that. Yeah,
That situation, that's a possibility, that has not been taken
if the
care of.
pilot is granted, that particular property would not be paying village taxes or town taxes for a period of time, and it would ramp up. They would start out paying none, and then depending on the schedule that is approved, whether it's a 10-year or 15-year or whatever the pilot is each year they pay a little bit more, until by the final payment, they're paying full taxes. So the short answer is, in the beginning, that's correct, they would not be paying village or town taxes. And they would be getting the services.
The application as it stands now is a 15-year pilot.
Yeah. And there's different benchmarks of where it goes up. It goes up to 10% and then 20%, and then it keeps rising of the percentage that they pay each year. Now, just to clarify though, they are still paying taxes on the current assessed value of the property.
Right,
It has some value right now. It's vacant land. Well, one has a home on it, one is vacant land. So whatever their assessed value is right now, they will continue paying those taxes. What they aren't paying taxes on is the improvements that they're making when and if they will. And it doesn't start, like, they don't just get no taxes, they have to fulfill a number of steps.
but really, it's not about the improvement, it's about how many people are there.
But it's factored into it, yeah.
Yeah, it all factors in, yeah. It's a very and I don't mean to dismiss it, but it's a very complicated thing to explain in short sentences, so.
I think if there's a specific question that our town board liaison could answer right now, we should ask him that, but if there's like a broader discussion about how these things work, we should figure out, time to have that meeting or do
Sure,
it over email.
because it does affect the community, secret, it affects it.
Right, but it's not affecting the applications that are before us.
I have a different question. Has there been, when was the most recent village board meeting?
2 weeks ago tomorrow.
And was there any formal discussion about the town board's analysis of the project with regard to annexation and the ultimate decision and the basis for that decision?
That's correct.
What was discussed?
The discussion was, revealing, if you will, announcing a lawsuit, against the town for, dismissal of that application. So our attorneys, will be talking with each other.
Thanks.
To be paid for by the developer,
Right.
not
This doesn't come out.
village taxes.
And that agreement between the village and the developer, I assume, has been approved by the village board?
Which agreement?
There must be some agreement between the village and the developer for the developer to reimburse the village for
Yes.
legal expenses.
Yes.
Has that agreement been reviewed and approved by the village board?
Yes, between Will Frank, our attorney, and, Mike, Oracle, sorry.
Okay, well, it's fine that the lawyers negotiated.
Yeah.
But did the village board approve?
That's my understanding, it's what happened on Wednesday, yes.
There's
So,
two different suits being commenced to the developer is filing an Article 78 in state Supreme Court against the town. That's independent of the village. What the village is doing is it's going to, and Emily can probably correct me if I'm saying the wrong court, but there's an appellate court that it goes to. And in essence, the court decides, they break the tie, for lack of a better way to put it. It's because the village said yes, the town said no. The court now, there's a statute in the state law that says the court gets to look at, and they get to decide either the village was correct or the town was correct. So it's called a lawsuit, but it really is almost like an appeal and an arbitration kind of thing.
Well, it's to decide what's in the best interest of the community. So if the two entities didn't agree, then the court gets to look at the record and decide what's in the best interest.
So that's.
It can
what the
only be
town-
brought by, the only entity that could bring that action is the village.
Correct.
Thanks.
Okay, great.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any updates from the environmental policy group this week?
Well, we didn't meet, but we had an issue with, the, construction or staging area, right near the salamander crossing, at Woodland Pond. And I'm not sure exactly how that was
The
resolved.
DEC, at our request, the DEC went to the site and reviewed it and made a few recommendations of relocation, but had no issues with what was being done.
Could I see that?
I think it came verbally, but everything was happening, you know, we were getting anonymous emails from somebody. Alex went to the site, reviewed what was happening, requested the DEC come in and verify what, if anything, needed to be done. They made a couple recommendations directly to the, because it wasn't development, it was, it's where the former, I think it was a manufacturing plant that's on property adjacent
Cider mill.
to Woodland, and
And a
they
farm.
purchased it recently, or they're in contract to purchase. I'm not sure which it is specifically. There was an anonymous complaint, and then Rachel came and brought it to our attention that they had pushed some of the debris off the concrete pad toward the wetlands. We asked the DEC to come in and verify whether it was too close to the wetlands or not. They did have them move some of it back slightly away from the wetlands, but they were satisfied with what had happened, so. And the DEC is the only organization who can monitor wetlands.
Okay, were there any other, anything else?
Yeah.
Were there any updates from our Director of Planning and Zoning?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, first, remind everybody that not next meeting, but the November 4th meeting, we had canceled at the beginning of the year because that is election day, which is a village holiday. I wanted to just ask people to check your calendars if we wanted to reschedule. It's difficult to find a day. Wednesday, November 5th is a village board meeting. The 6th, which is a Thursday, is a possibility. I know we have a large number of applications tonight, and I didn't know if we wanted to try to reschedule. So if anybody, you know, I could email out some possible dates, and you guys can let me know if you want to try to reschedule, or if you want to just cancel it and then pick up again on the 18th. So. And then second, the mayor has asked me, first, because, trustee, Murray will be moving into the legislature next year. And, he has been the village's representative on the Ulster County Planning Board for a number of years. I don't know how many, but 8? 9, okay. I still serve as the town of Rochester representative where I live. The mayor has asked me to become the representative from the village, beginning next year, and they're gonna make that recommendation. We have a vacant alternate position that he asked me to ask both this board, and I'm gonna ask the zoning board of appeals if someone would be interested in being in that role. I'd be happy to talk to you offline about what it means. I will tell you that I've missed probably 2 meetings in 5 years. So it means you probably will never go to a meeting unless you want to come watch. You're always welcome to, but you would not be participating because every municipality has a member and an alternate. In theory, the alternate fills in when the member is unable to be there. So I'm just passing that on. The board meets the first Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock in Kingston. It's an unpaid position, however, you can be reimbursed for your travel, for your mileage. Quarterly, anyone who wants to be reimbursed submits a voucher for their mileage and is reimbursed by the county. Anybody has any questions or interest, let me know.
Great. Were there any other board updates, anyone has? Okay. In that case, like to move on to our public comment section. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to make a general public comment? Yes, please come up.
Sorry, did we decide about doing a meeting to replace the fourth, or we're gonna decide that later?
I think we're gonna decide that later, but. Could you state your name, please?
My name is Greg Shankos. I live at 116 Utah Street for 40-something years. I've been a resident close to 50 years in this town. I frequently travel out of Huguenot Street through Mulberry, to 32. Very familiar with the new zoning. Roddy and Momo's property plan. It's the first thing I've seen since the zoning has changed that is architecturally a lot more responsible. This is a subjective comment, my opinion, you know, you take it or leave it. But I think visually, aesthetically, architecturally is the first thing I've seen developing on 32 or suggested to be developed on 32 that I can pay some respect to the historic architecture of this community. I know Roddy for a good 35 years. I know Momo for at least 12. I know them to be good people. I know they gave up a good portion of their land in order to make the New York Empire Trail System work. So they're invested in this community. They're good contributors to the community. They're good people. And I'm not sure why we're here again. I think it's just a color issue. It seems a bit odd, but I support what they're doing and I hope you guys will as well. Have any questions for me?
No, thank you.
Just to clarify, your comment was about that particular project?
That particular
Okay.
project.
So, this
Don't
was
want my
general,
comments on the other
yeah,
projects.
so this was general comments, so what with the board, and with you're okay, I'm gonna just record that for the public hearing.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to make a general public comment before our public hearings? Okay. In that case, I'd like to move on to our first public hearing. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing for PB 2517 85 North Chestnut Street? Second, all in favor? Aye. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment regarding 85 North Chestnut Street? Okay, anybody online? We'll just enter the room. Doesn't seem like it.
Someone was just let in, Zach, maybe you just want to make sure they're not a person who wants to comment.
Okay. Is there anyone online that would like to make a comment regarding 85 North Chestnut Street? Right? Seeing that we have no more comments, can I get a motion to close the public hearing for 85 North Chestnut?
So. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next public hearing is PB 2518. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing for PB 2518 12 Orchard Lane?
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on 12 Orchard Lane? Here or on? Okay. In that case, could I get a motion to close the public hearing for PB 2518?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so for our first application review, we have PB 2518 12 Orchard Lane. Please come up. You're here, Kathy O'Shea.
She had told me that she was gonna come in online. I'm certain that this EVSPA is her She was gonna be out of town.
Right. Well. I guess there are a few things we can do.
Okay.
She did submit a revised site plan. I don't know if everyone saw that. Let's see.
Yeah, she reduced the width from the 20 feet to the 18 feet per the code.
Oh, site plan. Is that? Was that updated on the? Oh, revised driveway, okay.
I believe it was,
Yeah, there's just two. Okay. She doesn't. She still didn't add any dimensions though. Any, written
Oh,
18-foot marker.
So it's a driveway.
Well, it's a site plan.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, you could make that a condition for signature that she does if you wanted to.
Mike, is this an example of something that wouldn't come to the planning board if, when your new zoning recommendations are enacted?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, right now, every site plan has to come to this board, or every property who doesn't have a site plan, so. These will be left to the building inspector to decide.
Okay, I think, we can at least, move forward with the approval resolution. There is also the issue of seeker, so, I first get a motion to classify this as, type 2 action under seeker.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then if everyone is in agreement, could I get a motion authorizing our attorney to prepare the resolution of approval for this application?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add to that, that I think the resolution should have whatever special conditions are necessary to make the site plan document comply with our ordinance before. For instance, she said there's no dimensions on it.
Right,
Well, that should be there as a condition of approval. And whatever requirements of a site plan are, make sure that that's there as a condition of approval. I mean, I don't want to make this homeowner go get an engineer. I mean, I'm hoping that should just sketch it out with some dimensions.
It just simply needs the written dimensions added on with arrows, which I had mentioned to her, but. she
Okay, then
declined
fine,
to do, so.
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
agree with you.
support that, yeah.
And with that, yes, I move that we have the attorney prepare a draft resolution for us.
Second, with the conditions.
Mm-hmm. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, Mike, if you could just let her know that we need those revisions and we will see her next time. Next, could we have PB 25, 14, 44, and 46 Church Street? Please come up.
No, didn't we have,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I was-
85.
Oh, my fault. I was looking at the wrong app. PB 2517, 85 North Chestnut Street. Please come up.
And for the board, there's a new site plan that I apologize, I got at the last minute from, Mr. Willingham, that is uploaded into Municipal app, but it's not in your agenda rundown, so. The new plan that he sent to me this afternoon.
Is it on the agenda?
It's not on
New
the
site
agenda.
plan of this?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It added in the EV charging stations that were previously on a separate document. And I'm sure Andy can tell you what else has changed on that. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Thanks. Yeah, we can share.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Zach, I printed a copy of the sign. It's only one copy, but if the board can share that to look at, then I'll need that back.
Okay. So this is with your signage plan?
And you'd actually have this one if you want. No.
You wanna give us a overview of what we're looking at here?
Sure, we can have Jason, their architect.
So the original approval had a tri-colored scheme going. And we just felt that was kind of, it was a trend when it was approved, but we wanted to create something that was more timeless and a little bit more elegant. And we decided to go with more monochromatic look. And we added black windows because the adjacent buildings on each side also have black windows. The stone on the bottom, we have a sample of what that would be. We wanted to see the color of the stone. And what we're proposing on the upper level is a Royal Building product, which is an insulated vinyl siding. So it's a sustainable material. It's sound deadening because it's got the insulation, and it's impact resistant.
Sorry.
And we took over the project from Hoover. We reconfigured some of the apartments. We still have 15 units, but we were able to align the windows and everything in more of a uniform pattern.
See that? Okay.
So those county recommendations were for this building, correct?
Yes, there were some county
And
recommendations.
they recommended, I see you have the solar panels. And they said heat pumps. They suggested geothermal, but it's probably too late for that. But you got the heat pumps and the solar panels on there. What else did it say?
So we were able to, we did away with all those, the original plan had multiple condenser units on the outside. And we're going with a different type of system that now puts the unit in the apartment and it will vent to the exterior instead of having them along the, foundation of the building along the perimeter.
Oh, interesting. Does it like hang over the window?
No, it'll basically be, like a little vented area that you won't even notice. That'll be on the side of the building.
Rachel, to your comment about the county comments, I think when we submitted to the county, we submitted one prior plan to the actual final plan. So some of those comments, I think, were not applicable to the final plan. The one thing that the county did recommend was the sign plan, which was not part of the package, but is now.
I didn't see that. Going back to the units, oh, thank you. So in the site plan, I think I see the small rectangles that I thought would be the split units for heating and air conditioning. Are you saying that those no longer
No,
exist?
we're gonna go with, Jerry, what do you call it, P-TAC system?
They're PTACs, yeah, so they're essentially, units that are self-contained, they sit in a closet within the apartment. So the owner is a louver to the exterior, and that louver helps expel the heat, like the vent outside would, and it's not remote any longer. So it won't be around the front of the building, there'll just be one within each apartment.
So is there a revised site plan that removes them from the exterior? Unless I'm seeing the wrong thing, I'm seeing.
No, you're seeing it right. So we still have them on the site plan. That's,
I mean, I'm just saying, let's remove them from the site.
yeah, sure.
But it'll actually be a lot more attractive, that rear area without.
Without that
a lot
clutter.
more, there's all those things that you had to create to obscure them. On every side, or at least on multiple sides, including the north, it looks like.
Excuse me, Jason.
Yes,
One other thing is the commercial units,
you're welcome to come up with anything, sorry.
just to make sure we all understand, the commercial unit will require typical split units. And those split units will have outdoor condensers, so they may be 4 instead of 19.
Right.
And would those be in the back or on the side?
They will be in the back. So some of that area will require to still have a condenser in each location. To be local to each unit, there are 4 units across the back.
Okay. I'll just make a note of that.
And go back to the color, I'm assuming the design review had looked at the tricolor, it was some time ago, I don't even know if I was on this board when it was first reviewed. But has there been any new review of this color and, the mixture of the material?
Well, they certainly haven't seen this, but I don't think they even reviewed again or were asked to comment on the resubmission of the application. I would be curious to hear their input. I'm personally not a huge fan of just a completely gray monochrome building right there. I think it maybe there could be something with like some contrasting colors in the middle sections, where there's that different material, like set the gray vinyl off with something on the.
I think the DRB likes gray, but they do. I think if you've
So
got
the
trim, why
middle
not?
section will be hardy still, it'll be hardy panel
Oh,
with
hardy
the trim
board.
work.
Right,
So. it
but
breaks it
same
up-
color.
The same color, it just breaks it up texturally.
Yes, I appreciate that.
I think I also would be cautious of, quite frankly, clashing with the reds on the south. And,
Zero place?
well, south would be shorties and,
Oh,
PT and all
all that.
that.
Right to the north.
Yeah, that one shows it to the right.
Right.
It shows, next to you speaking of, in that render.
You can see the little building.
well, he's talking about the other direction. But-
Oh, there's another one to the other direction after Dave.
Yeah, so this one gets it back a little bit, I think.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of.
And that color in a couple of the renderings looks quite different. I don't know if it's because of the way the
That's the
lighting
lighting
here.
in the program.
Which is very different color actually, so.
Yeah, this shows up, it's like a greenish gray.
So that is
So
the actual.
that's the actual color.
Depending on lighting.
Okay, well, I mean, I would support getting some input,
The DRB meeting is for our next meeting, it's October, it's the day before because of Columbus Day, but they will be meeting on October 20th. So if you wanted to send this to them, we could probably get a reply back in time for our next meeting. I can't speak for them, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
yeah, I think if we asked
Yeah.
them to expedite that. Does that require a motion from the board?
We should do a motion to refer it to them for comment. And if you want to just, restrict it to one particular question or group of questions, that would probably be, because they already have reviewed it once. but
So-
it changed.
Motion to refer the new design to the design review board in consideration for the three materials and their colors, the three exterior materials and their colors.
Second.
Support that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mike, if you could make sure that, or you can do your best to make sure it's, we get that feedback for the meeting. Depending on how.
They are usually good about getting it to me the next day, so I suspect I'll get it the day of our meeting.
And depending on how the resolution, we move with or without moving with the resolution.
Yeah.
You should rate that as a.
Yeah.
Condition. Thanks.
But overall, I think the new renderings do really help place it on that road and giving you a better understanding how it's interacting with the other properties. Were there, I don't know, does the board need any other views, or do we feel like this is
Should I
sufficient?
just ask a question? But if you look at what would be the north west corner that gets real close up against the sidewalk there?
The opposite side.
No, I think it would be over here. Wouldn't that be north?
This side.
Yeah, right there?
Yeah.
Is there like a retaining wall there? Is that a wall or is that?
That's getting
fixed.
That was a glitch in the rendering.
It's like ChatGPT messed up?
Yeah, so that was.
It's like it does something.
Yeah.
State feature.
Could be a side.
This one wasn't ready for printing, came off at 5 o'clock this evening, so I couldn't get it printed, but that is almost. The sidewalk is still not properly documented, but that's more like it will look like. The plan bed is actually pushed back a little bit, so we'll submit that final draft.
So I'm just wondering, like in terms of flow,
It is level, it is level.
it's
The
level,
building
if
is,
one doesn't flow through there, though, you're gonna block flow with landscaping there.
Well.
It looks more like this is what you're saying.
No, that'll be a side entrance, right, to the residential, and then you won't be able to walk all the way around through there.
these are my waterfalls.
Right, but that gray, that before that, what looks like a retaining wall, that looks like pavers, kind of a large space. Here, it looks like it's all landscaped.
Rich, are
Yeah.
you talking about water flow or water, people flow?
People.
Yeah, so people,
I'm just trying to understand what happens there.
so that'll be,
So.
so,
Is that really the sidewalk and not a wall? Is that just,
It's a sidewalk.
okay, so that just, they should
It's not a
have
wall, so side.
giving you the illusion,
Properly rendered like this.
yeah.
so if you take that whole sidewalk along Mulberry and just drop it down flush, that's how it really is.
And then massive
There's no,
concrete,
there's no retaining wall.
I think massive concrete won't be there, it's a plan bed.
Great, okay, that's.
That's the other thing I was
helpful.
asking,
Yeah,
that big mass of concrete.
yeah.
Yeah,
Missed
I
opportunity.
think where
Yeah, there's
the
like-
overhead may show it a little bit better.
It's the.
So that's all landscaping in there.
Okay. Yeah, this is, you can't really see that with this corner here.
Yeah,
You can't see.
Yeah,
I would
it's-
suggest that.
In the printed copies, you see it's as
But it still
It's still
doesn't
there.
show the landscape.
Still the block of concrete. So I would suggest that you update those before the design review board gets. Yes.
So Nikki, you didn't like red because you thought it would clash with shorties? No, I'm just saying monochromatic might not be the worst thing in this situation because you have a lot of color in the south. Okay, maybe it is, maybe I'm not the. I know, I'm not opposed, I'm open to feedback, but I'm also saying we have a lot of. There's a busy
Mhm.
next property. Okay, I disagree with this. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Forgive me if I'm picking some of these up late because I'm just, these new site plans are really helpful to see. But in this segment, there is no continuation of any bike lane that exists in other segments of the NDR.
On what side? By
On
Mulberry?
the front, on North Chestnut.
So this has the same arrangement that was approved for Zero Place, which is parking, shoulder, lane.
Okay, so the site plan doesn't necessarily indicate the lines that would That would
Oh,
explain that it's a bike lane. I like the idea that it is, because, you know, maybe one day we'll have something contiguous for the whole stretch, but
It is a bike
this doesn't
lane.
look, it looks like, it's, I see the
Yeah.
parking in, but I don't quite see that,
It's right next to it.
oh, wait a second.
but there's no lines that let you know that that's what's happening. Doesn't feel like
Possible.
it's doing what you're saying it's doing.
Yes, so that might have been an earlier design. This is where it landed. I think it's because when the Empire Trail got added a little bit later. And so that's where the bikes go now, so there
It was
isn't.
my understanding, Rich, that that it goes straight across to Henry W. It doesn't go north on North Chestnut, it continues over to the rail
Right.
trail to go north.
Yeah, I apologize. That was an earlier concept that was removed later. So there is,
So there is no bike lane in front of Zero Place either.
right.
It's right on the sidewalk.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, you can hear as well, so.
Not very, but.
Okay. So I think, yeah, other than the small change with the radiator, it's like, and looks good. Wanted to discuss the affordable housing requirement. As you're aware, the village implemented a 15% affordable housing requirement for new projects.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's for, projects that are 20 units or more.
Correct.
Okay,
You are correct.
and this is 15,
This is.
okay,
So it's 10.
so it's 10%, okay, so that is still part of the plan, there will be two affordable units, okay, great, thank you for that clarification. The board also needs to discuss the rec fee for this project. So again, we have 3 criteria that we need to look at here.
Just for the board's information, there was a rec fee required in the original, approval. So
this is
but we should
sort
have
of
the
a,
question.
sort of a formality, but, is there a need for recreation areas in the village, including improvement of existing recreation areas? Yes.
Yes.
Will the new residential units for this project increase the demand on the village's recreation facilities? Yes. And can suitable parks or recreation areas of adequate size to meet this demand be located on the site? No. So, we will mention the need for the rec fee in the, approval letter, and I believe that was the only other outstanding item, at this point.
You had talked about the signage plan. What they submitted was the main sign, but not the building sign.
So we're gonna put signs on the glass doors. There's not gonna be any exterior signs on the building. Each
Okay.
office, it's 4 office spaces. They have their 4 separate entrances. They will each have lettered up on the glass. We're doing professional space. It's not retail, so there's not really a need for exterior buildings.
Understood. I think then in that case, this is fine for our signage plan. And yeah, I think we can, at this point, authorize the preparation of the resolution of approval, given the few, changes that we mentioned tonight. Is there anything else before we move on to that step?
Just to check, you wanted to keep the same special uses as because you're planning on the offices.
Yeah.
And those special uses cover offices.
Yeah, that was one.
All right, in that case, could I get the resolution authorizing the preparation of the resolution of approval?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So we look forward to seeing those, updated renderings and site plan, and, we will try to get that memo back from the DRB as soon as possible.
Yeah, and if I could get those emails to me, preferably in the next couple of days, or, because we like to send it to the DRB directly from us. So whatever updates you're gonna make, if you can get it to me by Friday, if that's possible.
Okay.
Because we're closed next Monday for the Boreas. I'd like to get it to them a week in advance.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Handing that to Mike, please. Thanks.
And Andy, is that a copy of the site plan that I can have? Very much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have PB 2514, 4446 Church Street. Hello? Okay, so you got the revised site plan, do you have a paper copy that we could spread out here? Yeah, thank you. Um.
It's the same.
Let's see that has the walking path as well as the proposed parking spaces. Were there any other changes that you wanted to?
There was the extra handicap spot, the lighting with the zero light sky thing, the turnaround, and then the fence that fence coming across here,
Right.
that Rachel and Mrs. Silberger went over. And also she had mentioned that this neighbor who was here, the one with the pizza box and the dookie, she would really like a wooden fence here. So I told her I'd be happy to give that to her.
So this is chain link and that's like a
That's
stockade.
wood, yeah, it's a 6 foot wood or white vinyl, depending on what you prefer.
Sounds like the neighbor asked for wood, whenever we just do the wood, it would be more
Yeah.
effective anyway.
Yeah, I think the wood would, perfect. It says wood fence on the thing.
John, how much did they move that driveway down? Do you know how many?
It's 3 feet,
3 feet, perfect.
yeah,
That was the number we were looking for, so
okay, good.
exactly right, thank you.
So it looks like the driveway takes up most of that space. Like, is that? Because when you look at it, when you're on the ground looking at it, it looks like the space is much bigger. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like a driveway would fill the whole thing up.
It's
Yeah.
50 feet wide and the driveway is 25, so there's 12 and a half feet on the
On
other
that
side.
other side. Okay, yeah, that's two. I was thinking,
Well, it won't be 12 and a half, I'm sorry, it'll be 15 and a half on one side and 9 and a half on the other. Because we had to offset it because of the utility pole.
Okay, I see that there's a note that, lighting plan is still needed. Does this qualify to these?
Yeah, we might have just missed it. So if the board is satisfied with what's in.
Yeah, the county had said, dark sky down.
Yeah,
John, do you know which fixtures those would be? And, you know, there's a data sheet that comes with the fixture called a cut sheet.
Yeah,
You can just have either your architect or whoever email me that sheet, and I can put that in the file, and that will show that they're
Okay,
dark sky compliant. That would be helpful.
okay.
yeah, yeah, I think that's all we need there. And we do have to go through EAF part 3. We have not yet issued a negative declaration for this, so yeah, might as well go through that. So number 1, we have proposed action create material conflict with.
We did actually do the part 2
Oh,
together.
that's the part
Yeah.
2, yes.
Part 3 is on the back.
The only item
Yes.
that you thought there would be a moderate to large impact was the character of the existing community.
Right.
Well, if the flip side, you could theoretically make a dog run there. I know your
I'm
neighbor
sorry,
was,
what's that, Rich?
your neighbor was saying, hey, where are the children gonna play? And I was thinking, well, it's 15 feet wide, you could maybe have a dog run. I don't know. It's just it's an interesting shape, like it's just a.
I think there's gonna be some landscaping there.
Yeah, do you allow pets in your apartment buildings?
On a case by case basis. We have a lot of,
In some cases.
yeah,
Let's focus on the,
yeah, so this will moderately increase the site's density. Again, there were issues that the neighbor raised about the trespassing, and so the applicant agrees to install a 4-foot chain link fence along specified property lines to encourage pedestrian and bicycle access. As recommended by the Ulster County Planning Board, the applicant agrees to strike part of the driveway, create a path, also promoting community connectivity. Landscaping will be added along the driveway for screening. In addition, as advised by the Ulster County Planning Board, to prevent casting excessive light pollution on neighbors, the applicant agrees to install dark sky compliant LED lighting. Planning board finds, given the small increase in number of residents, and with these mitigation measures, there will not be a significant impact on the character or quality of the existing community. So if the board is in agreement, like to get a motion to issuing a negative declaration.
so,
Second.
All in favor?
I don't know the exact layout of the locations where folks indicated that there were people passing through, and it seemed like ultimately they were climbing over your fence and ruined your fence. Is there any simple signing that you've considered putting, like just not a throughway or no trespassing and all that?
so the existing fence was, one of those 3-foot wire garden fence that you would put in that was very, easy to trample down.
This one will discourage people from doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's also the issue of the rec fee here. I think we, at this point, should go through it. Number one, is there a need for recreation areas in village, including improvement of existing areas?
Yes.
Yes. Will the new residential units for this project increase the demand on villages recreation fees areas?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, and can suitable parks or recreation areas of adequate size to meet this demand be located on site?
No,
I would say no, based on the constraints, the parking and driveway and stuff. So, this board finds that a recreation fee is required, and that will be set by the village board based on the number of, additional units.
Okay, so just to clarify, the house that I'm taking down will offset some of the rec fee for the.
It's just the net increase.
Just the 3
Thank you.
units.
Thank you.
And so if there are no other outstanding issues, I think we're ready to authorize the resolution approval for this one as well. Are there any other remaining questions from the board? In that case, could I get a motion authorizing our attorney to prepare the resolution of approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I guess, yeah, that was. We did override one of the county's recommendations regarding alternative energy, but we were all on board with that.
Emily, if you can just include that in the findings of why,
Yes.
perfect, thank you. Then that saves me from having to write the description.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I believe that's all for tonight, and we will see you at the next meeting with the resolution of approval.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if I can get one set of paper copies, that'd be great.
Next we have PB 2519, 6 Cooper Street, 8 Cooper Street, 10 Cooper Street, 6 Cooper Street.
Yeah, the applicant's, depending on
Hello, can you hear us? Mr. Shepler, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay,
we're not able to get it there.
yeah.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I don't hear you particularly well, Mike, but I hear the board fine.
Okay, the microphone's on there.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
Now
Hello?
we can.
We can now.
Are you not hearing me?
We can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we just start out by you giving us an overview of
You know
this application? Did
I'm
you
not,
hear that? Could you give us an overview of the application, please? What you're
sure,
asking?
there's a very strange lag here. Hold on one second. I just heard myself speak to you guys like with 30 seconds after yeah, sure. So I'm gonna.
Hmm.
Can you hear that?
Yes, that looks good.
I apologize. I don't know what's going on here. Can you hear me right now?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Mike, I can't hear you anymore now that I closed the YouTube site.
Yeah, you have to close the YouTube.
Can you guys
They just
hear me
go
right
through
now?
Zoom.
Give me an indication if you can hear me.
Yes, we
Okay,
can
I
hear
don't
you.
hear you anymore for some reason now that I closed the YouTube channel, but I'll just speak. I don't know why I'm not hearing you on the Zoom thing.
Maybe
Anyway, I
you muted.
apologize that I'm not there for you. I'll just look at your faces. I apologize that I'm not there in person. I had a scheduled trip already here, but I wanted to kick off this application. Let me share my screen and I'll catch you guys up because I think this is a really short application, to be honest. All of you are familiar with the project you already approved some time ago. We are well underway. This is a rendering of the net zero townhomes on Cooper Street, 6, 8, and 10. Here's where we are roughly today. We've already broken ground and gotten the roof up on 6 Cooper and are proceeding on schedule with the other 4 units here to the left of the screen. What I'm requesting here is, it dawned on me recently, sort of a bit of a eureka, that I should have probably applied for this in the beginning, which is a subdivision so that I don't have to resort to the very cumbersome construct of a condominium here for the future owners of these units. And so what I'm requesting is I'm simultaneously going to the ZBA to request a variance for a side yard setback to allow me to draw a lot line down the middle of these units and properly subdivide these lots, while also approaching you to conditionally approve the subdivision of each of these lots. And let me show you what that means. And what I'll do is I can pull up the YouTube channel so I could hear what you're saying back to me, because that was working, because I don't know why the Zoom is not providing audio back to me. Let me just check something. Oh wait, maybe that will do it. Okay, so I'm gonna share
This
this.
one is the as is, and that's the proposed.
Yeah. Okay, I can hear you now. I fixed it. Okay, can you hear me okay now? Still?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so this is the current plan that you approved. And as you can see, there are 3 lots here, 6, 8, and 10. And these 3 lots are encumbered by a single condominium. And all of the future owners of these townhomes must participate in the condominium under the current legal construct. And what I'm requesting is that we subdivide these like you would do, typically with a development like this, by drawing a line down the center of the lots. I'll sort of zoom in here. Draw a line down the center of the lots so that each townhome owner can own a parcel of their own rather than participating in a condominium and standing up the cumbersome governance structure of that and all that entails and the additional legal costs and on and on and on. The reason I didn't do this in the beginning was in the R3 zoning where we are, where these 3 lots sit today. There's no provision for a 0 side yard setback to allow each of these individual units to have 0 side yard relative to the other unit. So what I'm requesting from the ZBA now, and that application starts in a week, is that they approve the 0 side yard setbacks only for the side of the lots where these townhomes abut. And then with that, we can subdivide them, as you see here, by drawing these 3 lines. And all of these lots would have approximately 7,000 square feet. What R3 requires is a minimum of 3,630 square feet per lot. So this is more than, in all instances, is more than double the size of what is needed for each of these lots. Anyway, I'll pause there. Does that make sense?
I think so. Do we have a zoning memo from,
Yeah, it's in the Municipal Lab and
Okay.
it should be. Oh, it's not included in the. But it is in the Municipal Lab. So it meets all zoning standards with the exception of the setback in order to do this subdivision.
So he just needs an area variance for each one.
He'll need an area variance for each parcel for one side yard setback.
Right, there's no side yard setback when it's a joined shared
Correct.
wall, which we want to encourage for all sorts of reasons.
David, one question to ask, when you, these were constructed with the intention of it being a duplex, are they set up so the wall that will be between the two units is independent? So each, I guess the way I should ask this is, does each unit have its own sidewall, or are they sharing a sidewall that if something happens to it, they're both responsible for?
The latter, there is a single unit, a single wall. I mean, you could in theory split the wall into two, in legally, right? Like say there's three, the wall down the center is an ICF wall. And that consists of 6 inches of concrete. In theory, you could say 3 inches of that concrete are one unit and 3 inches of that concrete are another. But there's no separate physical separation of that single ICF wall. Does that make sense?
And they're, in order to meet building codes, because they're an adjoining wall between two units, they have to be fire retardant.
That's right. Yeah, they
Okay.
certainly meet all of the,
Okay,
To ask it a different way, could one owner demolish their unit and leave their neighbor's unit standing? I mean, if someone buys one of these lots, are they joined with their neighbor in deciding what to do with the building, or are they independent?
And Emily, if I could just, 'cause
Yeah.
I was gonna ask a similar question, I think it's all, no,
Yeah.
please. I think it's all the same consideration, like, are there any other elements of construction of the single building that are impossible to delineate between the two? Like, so for instance, do they have to get their roof done on the same schedule in order to have this single building? And I guess my question is, does that matter to us? Or is that some operating agreement that the two owners need to develop between each other, or do we have to impose that on them? It would seem like there's gotta be elements of construction that are either dependent on each other or could be harmful if someone decides to do something that the other doesn't want the other to do.
yeah, so certainly it will be our responsibility to come up with the legal construct that allows this to work, right? I don't have all the answers for you in that regard because I've never done this before, but this is certainly not new territory, right? There are abutting townhomes all over the world that are independently owned. But I don't know the specific answer to your question of how we go about doing that. But certainly we would need to do something that works, and our attorneys would figure that out.
Well, it's often the case that we obligate an applicant to have agreements in place that make things work
Sure.
before it's approved. So what I'm asking is, are we in a position to have to obligate the applicant to figure out how this is gonna work before we approve it?
Yeah,
Probably.
yes.
you could make it a condition for a final approval, because also if he doesn't get the variance from the zoning board of appeals, this application is moot. So he has to get that approval from the zoning board of appeals prior to our final decision. But he wanted to at least begin them simultaneously to expedite.
I understand, but yeah, and another example would be someone decides they wanna build a second story on their unit. I think the existence of the agreement it would, to me, seem important to approve.
Not just the existence, but some level of comfort that it's
Yeah,
feasible.
If I could say to the board, my mother lives, admittedly, it's in the state of Florida. She lived in a situation exactly like this, where two separate independently owned lots, shared structure, common roof between them. And when she bought, she looked into all this, and in essence, there really, if she decides to fix her half of the roof and the other person doesn't, there's really no recourse. Admittedly, that's the state of Florida, not New York, but it does happen in other places.
I'm sure,
I could ask her if there's a legal agreement.
I'm sure that it happens in other places. What I want advice on is whether we have to require a clarity on whatever the agreement would have to be to make it work. That's all.
Right, I guess the follow-up to Rich's question is, how does that, like, as the planning board would have to review some of these things, I don't know, if under the new code, but I would assume if somebody wanted a second floor or redesign or rebuild the thing, the planning board would have to have that some level of comfort and not be trying to interpret an unfeasible agreement, right? It would have to be something practical, tested, and not just that an agreement exists.
I don't think the planning board would be involved in interpreting easement or agreement like that, but.
You
No,
don't,
I'm not saying necessarily, what I'm saying is how, sitting here today, if somebody came here, how would, we would want to know how it works in terms of approving that, and when you're considering all the impacts, what level of impact do you have?
I suppose so, yeah.
So I guess we're asking the applicant to bring us the agreement or the structure that would make this work.
Yes, please.
Yes, I think we need that,
And solar panels would be, you'd have two inverters? Like, how?
The solar panels are independent. They're independently owned by each unit. The panels themselves sit entirely on the section of the roof of the individual unit, and the inverters are within the unit themselves. So there's no shared ownership of any of the energy features. The geothermal system, the solar system are all independently owned, and it's entirely contained within their individual parcels. The other thing to think about, is, what I'm really requesting is the ability to subdivide this into individual parcels, and then later I can make the decision whether I abandon the condominium or whether the condominium persists and encumbers 6 individual lots. And I leave it upon the future owners to decide whether they want to, use those parcels and take individual ownership, right? So there is still a world where the condominium functions as it is and polices the issues that you're bringing up, but it now is across 6 independent parcels rather than 3. So
We
I'm
can
not.
look at it. I mean, the board's responsibility in a subdivision, because we're now, allowing this to be recorded with the county as 6 separate lots. We need to know that
Right.
each of those lots is individually sellable, right? And so, yeah, that's what we
Okay.
need to understand.
Yep. Okay. I'll get that done and come back to you with kind of the legal construct to enable that. Does that
and I
make
think,
sense?
Zach, and I think, Zach, we could offer the opportunity to consult with Emily in
Sure.
between
Oh,
meetings.
yes, for
to
sure.
See if it meets what we think would be the expectations of the planning board.
Yeah, I just haven't done this before, honestly, so I don't know, but.
Meaning whatever
Yeah, you
sort of
don't have to come
agreements I
back
create.
whole to the planning board with whatever you're deciding. You could check in with our attorney
Oh,
in some
okay.
interim
Yeah.
space to see, here's where it's going, will that seem to satisfy the
Yeah,
planning
yeah,
board?
yeah. Perfect.
That's,
Okay.
we'll be checking in with her anyway. So the other question I had was how, the ZBA approval relates to our process and, do we need to wait to prove anything until they,
Yes.
they go through there? Okay.
You can take it as far as you would like. Up to the point of final approval, but you wouldn't give any final approval. Resolution vote until they. Had approved the variance. Because without the variance, this doesn't meet our code.
We
Is
do
that
need to
like a
do
condition? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay, I just wanted to say we do need to do a seeker review, because this is not a type 2, we looked up and down the list and it just isn't, so.
For the ZBA will be, but not for you.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and do that while we're waiting.
Okay, I mean, was the EAF part 1 already submitted? Is that on here?
So we recommend classifying it as unlisted, it's not
Okay,
type 1.
so could I get a motion to classify this application as unlisted under seeker?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I guess we can circulate our intent to be lead agency.
Do we have to do that?
We could do it as uncoordinated.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna suggest we do, because they're gonna classify it as a type 2 action.
Okay,
The ZBA,
Sure.
yeah, and all the other approvals are already done, so I think it makes sense to just do it as uncoordinated, and then we don't have to wait for responses on the.
yeah, makes sense. And I mean, I believe that's all for this meeting. Are there any other questions, last questions?
Apologies for the IT difficulties there. And I appreciate you offering me the ability to do it this way.
And David, it's Mike, I don't know if you can hear me, just a reminder that at the end of the day, what I'll need from you is a subdivision plan from a licensed surveyor that takes
Right.
off all the extraneous information. It should
Yep.
only include what's required for a subdivision.
Right. Yeah, and I
But it's
won't
good
do
to have
that.
it on there for the moment.
Yeah, I don't want, does it make sense? Just
You
thinking
would
out loud
remove
for
the
a second.
landscaping, the drainage, everything except structures and lot lines and any physical elements would be on the subdivision plan.
Right. And my thinking there is, I don't want to invest in that thing until I have a really good sense that the ZBA is,
Understood.
yeah, okay. Right, so that sequencing makes sense to you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay,
And bear in mind, I'm sure you remember, they only meet once a month, the ZBA, so you're gonna be way ahead at the planning board level.
right.
And then there'll come a period of time where there's nothing happens until the ZBA votes.
Right. And that plan you're referring to is what the planning board's going to need for subdivision. It's
Correct.
not something the ZBA needs.
No,
Right,
the ZBA can work off what you provided.
Yep, excellent. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
And last we have PB 25, 22, 42. And 44, Henry W. Boyce.
Do you want me to just give you the rundown on
Yes, please.
one application at a time?
Yeah, one at a time, is good.
So I'll start with lot 1, which is 44. On your invoice. So, this is just the site plan phase of the subdivision we did last year. For these two lots, nothing's changed, as far as, stormwater, and rain garden designs. So, the only thing that did change was the footprint of the house, shrunk a little bit, but we kept the rain garden the same size, and stormwater calculations, were submitted by the engineer for all 4 lots together, because I guess that's how he has to do it, taking into account the property. There's these 2 lots, and I'm actually submitting a third one for the lot 4, which is gonna be one meeting behind these 2 lots. And I'm not sure what exactly you guys need for site plan with the house for residential. But I included elevations. It's the same house design for both lots. It's just one's a mirror image of the other.
Okay.
Based on the way we put the driveways closer to facing each other so we could have the one shared lot. So none of that's changed from the subdivision. Again, just the house footprints decreased by like 210 square feet.
So it's a total one.
The footprint is 1290 square feet, or I think it was 1500. And we just put placeholder footprints in there because we didn't know what the house.
And so I have the lot 1 site plan open, the second one, I can open them both, but the second one is lot 2, yeah, these both face Henry Boyce, and share the driveway. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the application number 23 is lot 1, that's 44.
Yeah.
So
I just-
their lot numbers are backwards from the application numbers just because of the way the sequencing went.
And the street numbers are opposite sequencing also. It's just
That's I identified them based on street numbers, and your lot numbers go reverse.
Did Alex get a chance to review the site plans?
Yeah.
I think there's one in there.
And they're
Great.
I'm sure these need to go to the village engineer for review.
Yes, see that, see the elevations.
And I heard John mention, you guys talking about the exterior lighting. I didn't do anything on exterior lighting, but I can include that with the next submission.
Yeah, I think we'd like to eventually see a lighting plan if there's any exterior lighting. And I mean, does this site plan show any landscaping aside from the rain garden?
No.
So. Need to. But is that required for this zone that we include a landscaping plan? I'm not
The
sure.
board should review the landscaping. It doesn't necessarily have to have a landscaping plan per se, but you guys should review the landscaping.
Okay,
I mean, if you want a landscaping plan, the answer is yes, you can ask for it. But if he can mark up on the plan various types of landscaping that's proposed and any, being that it's a vacant lot, any trees that are to remain. Because you did a lot with the drainage already in the subdivision, and we did a lot of the review of all that when we were deciding the subdivision.
yeah,
So if we're asking for landscaping plan, then do we also need all the architectural design features and like it?
The architectural you should ask for, that's the site plan. He did give us elevations.
yeah. I
So
mean,
far, I see the elevations and the position in the lot, but I don't see it, we
Oh,
didn't
okay.
submit anything more than that, right?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
just the front, back and the two sides.
That's it, they're single story,
Two story
so the 1290 square footage
is the footprint, yeah.
Got it.
Just looking at this, there's a lot going on in the front with the rain gardens and the driveway, but maybe we could put some street trees in there, because of the grading and the rain gardens and the driveway, most of those trees are gonna come down. So,
You mean most of the existing trees are gonna come down, so you're,
wherever we have to grade and where we have, obviously where we're putting the rain gardens and the driveways.
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the houses, the neighboring houses, those we did, 20 years ago. We try to keep as many trees to make it look still wooded, but, where we have to put something like a driveway or regrade, it's hard to keep those, and anything around the house is hard to keep those, so I would say, I certainly would think street trees would make sense there. I don't believe the bike path put any landscaping along that whole stretch, like they did in everyone else's properties, because it was wooded. I don't know if the board has any preferences to what kind of street trees or any of that. If there is a shade tree commission member here that might chime in.
I'm not on the shade
Oh,
tree
you're not,
commission,
okay.
but they finally do have a quorum now. They were lacking a quorum for a while, so we can definitely refer this to the shade tree commission now.
What we've done in the past, down on South Chestnut with the village, where we planted pin oaks and Bradford pears. They're both, pretty resistant to, the pollution and the, salts and all that.
Bradford pears are now not recommended. The
Yeah.
calorie pear, because they're invasive and they are, they're considered a pest. So at a lot of places that had Bradford pears, like out in front of the Salvation Army, for example, that stretch, they cut them all down and removed them, so. Pin oaks are great, there are other trees, mulberries, wonderful. But, don't plant the Bradford pear.
Don't plant a maple tree near a sewer line. Don't do that.
Get that.
Just don't
Yeah,
plant
yeah.
maple tree.
Have the rain gardens that you put in the four houses you put in before, have they been inspected?
They have not, the homeowners did those direct with the landscapers, I think they got together and did those. Here, I'm building these on spec, so I'm doing everything on this one. I can ask them.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that definitely should have happened. The other thing was that, those driveways were supposed to be gravel by the definition of gravel on Google, which is stone. And you used this, crushed asphalt instead, and that is a permeable, it's not gravel, but it is permeable. But the problem with it is that if, depending on what kind of soil you have near it, there can be this, the effluent, when the rain does go through it, it can contaminate the surrounding area depending on what kind of soil. And I think that it would be good to know that and to sort of remedy that situation, because it was originally supposed to be stone gravel. And, just so you know, I mean, I haven't heard back, like the loop wasn't closed from when I.
So, when we did that project, the only house, and this was at your request, that agreed to a gravel driveway was the middle one at 27 Millbrook Road, and they are gravel and it's, crushed shell. But the rest of it does has, the asphalt millings.
Milled asphalt.
Yeah. But you did ask for that, and that was the last application in front of the board at the time, and you asked for a gravel driveway, and the applicant agreed to that.
It was
The
on the
homeowner.
site plan, and I thought
Yeah,
that
it is.
was supposed to be gravel.
No, the other ones were, I think the other ones had already been approved and they've started,
What's the material on this project?
asphalt.
Okay, so just coming back to what we need to do here and the next steps, I think we are in agreement that it should be referred to the engineer, to look at the drainage and rain gardens and such. Do we need a motion to refer that?
We should,
Okay,
we did to some degree, and actually this, I should phrase this as a question. I just thought I remember that we did have Dennis Larios look at that in the subdivision plan.
We
right?
did, I suggest that we do it again, just
Okay.
because it was such a sensitive issue.
Okay. I'm gonna see, because we're in the transition of engineers, but I'm gonna see if Dennis will review these since his team already reviewed it the first time, so.
Who's the new engineer?
Colliers is taking over for everything non-water and sewer related. Dennis is just gonna be retained just for water and sewer because it's taking up the majority of this time, so.
okay,
That'll be an administrative thing I'll try to resolve, so.
sure.
Okay,
Can I get a motion then to refer the site plans for both these, 44 and 42, to the village engineer?
So.
Second, all in favor? Next, I think we can classify, can I get a motion to classify both PB 2523 and 2522 as type 2 under seeker?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
On the engineer review, I remember the last time we spoke about this, we talked about, crossing the rail trail and making sure that, there wasn't gonna be any disturbance to it.
Right.
I can't recall if we had Dennis, consider that at that time, or if we said we would
believe
do
we
it.
did, but I'll go back. to the minutes.
I think
Okay.
there was a condition specifically, I think we had
Yeah.
to finish it from the beginning, so we weren't trashing it with gravel or whatever, as we cross over it.
Could check this.
But I would definitely look at the conditions on that.
Yeah.
The bike lane. I'm just in principle absolutely opposed to any driveway going into a bike lane that is just put it in.
I think there are lots of driveways that cross that bike.
There, that's exactly why there shouldn't be more.
Well,
Okay.
gotta get there somehow.
Yeah.
We had that, this.
We did have.
I did have this discussion, I was outvoted and I accept that, but I still don't like it.
Okay. And lastly, I guess, we can set the public hearing. I think, when is the next meeting again? That is,
It will be October, today is the 7th, 21st.
I get a motion to set the public hearing for PB 2522 for October 21st.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And I guess the same motion, sorry, for PB 2523 for also for October 21st.
So. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does the board wanna, can we advertise them as the same
Together?
public hearing and conduct them as?
I
as-
I think that would be
to that?
preferable, yeah.
Okay,
Please, let's.
yeah. Well, you'll have to put signage on both properties, but we'll advertise it as one public hearing.
Will we have the landscaping and the lighting and, whatever other elevation details by then?
So,
When you need them by. No.
We're gonna do the public hearing on the 21st, 15th. Week from tomorrow.
Are there, I know back in the day, there was landscaping guidelines in the code. Has that
There's still,
disappeared or
there's
is it
still,
still there?
no, there's still some sort of recommendations, but. There will be in the new code. They're not in, to some degree, I'll look them up tomorrow and send them to you. The lighting, all I really need is locations on the site plans and cut sheets. Just to show that they're dark sky compliant. And if anything is gonna be on a pole or anything, I'll need to know height. Would the board want him to tag any trees too that are gonna remain with ribbon in case you do a site visit?
Yes. What color will the remaining trees be tagged?
However,
Is there a coding system you guys use? That's,
doesn't matter as long as you, I mean, if you're only gonna tag the trees that are remaining, then we just know anything with the tag on it is remaining.
Sure.
That lot is heavily wooded. Wouldn't it make more sense to tag the trees he's gonna take out? He could be tagging dozens of trees.
I have a feeling he's gonna take out quite a few with the rain gardens and the house and
Yeah, the whole house of the envelope, it takes up almost the whole lot.
I think it'll probably be a string of ribbon, you know, like showing the extent of the clearing, not necessarily the,
Yeah,
but, yeah, I've been up there recently looking at, you know, both what's near the house, but also what's near its, end of life. There are a lot of those, white oaks in there, that you can see along the road that have already, been removed or have fallen down on the lines or whatever, but, I can probably show both on the map and out there if you need some ribbon. I don't know if I can tag every tree that stayed, that's a lot of trees. But I could probably
just
tag
a
like
line
a line
where,
or something, yeah.
yeah, that would be very helpful. Okay, was there anything else? Not, we will see you next time. Yeah.
can you read me?
You got one or two?
Public
It would be great. It's too long.
guidelines posted. Anywhere. Or, the stuff that we adopted, was that be posted on
You know,
anywhere? It would be nice to be able to refer people to the guidance when they're going to comment.
I agree, we should definitely post online. We'd also kind of talked about just putting it out next to the comment sign up sheets.
Is that the guidelines? For public
Yeah.
comment? Yeah, I did put a stack next to the agendas, and I did that at the last meeting as well.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Is it online?
Yes, it is. I asked Nicole to put it on one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's on the planning board website.
You envisioning one of those little plastic things that has it in there?
I am anticipating that, we have some public hearings coming up where people will be tempted to repeat or, do things with those, that guidance is designed to help facilitate better discussion, so try to make sure people are aware of it.
Not to bring up perhaps a sore subject, but we still need to do the proposed code.
Yes, so that's.
Yeah, how are we doing that? Did I miss something?
No, that's our next item agenda, and I was hoping that,
Oh, that's happening.
Oh, tonight?
I didn't review it in advance of this meeting.
well, that's what we discussed last time.
I thought we discussed that when we had a light meeting, we would have it, and I didn't know that.
I had,
39, what's so?
I'm gonna just,
I'm catch fish.
I'm just gonna go over like 20-minute overview tonight to get you guys sort of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's just,
I mean,
let's
was it-
just get the overview.
I like looked at the overview and, but I haven't.
This won't be the last time.
This will not be the last time, and the village board is moving slowly as well, and I'm unable to make 2 of the next 4 village board meetings, so.
I do. Okay, so
What I-
there's this line at the bottom that it was down here, that's what this is. Okay, you can understand why I missed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
So you wanna kick us off here, Mike?
No, let me, so. What I printed for you is. All the documents that the village board has at the moment, with the exception of the code, which is 200+ pages. What I'd like to do tonight is just go through this overview of zoning code updates with you. And sort of tell you what you have in front of you, so then we can continue it at the next time we decide to do that. Because I know we got 3 public hearings at the next meeting, actually more than that now, 4, I think. So the big thing that this change is gonna do is it's gonna make the code flow better. Through whatever reason, it's very broken up and there's things way out of sequence and they're sort of spread out all over the place. This now sort of puts it in the standard zoning code order. There's gonna be an addition and, you know, for definitions, there's an addition and a redefining of a lot of land use terms. And then every use that is in the schedule will now be defined in our code. Every accessory use will be defined in our code. Currently, there's a fair amount of uses in the table that are not defined in the code. And then the contrary, there's things that are defined that aren't mentioned in the code anywhere. So, it's gonna retain the site plan and special use procedures, very minor changes of those at all. It's gonna retain the zoning district standards for the most part. Although just this afternoon, when Alex and I were looking up something, we discovered that there was a big piece missing in the R2 zoning district. In that non-residential uses, there's a very small amount allowed in the R2 district. There is no requirement for lot size for non-residential uses in the R2 zone in our code. There will be, we didn't know it until today, or didn't catch it. It's gonna retain a lot of the dimensional standards. The floodplain chapter is verbatim still the same. The ZBA section of the code is almost verbatim. The parking standards, I've brought almost everything in that exists. The administration enforcement is again brought over straight interpretation, and the application and amendment of the code, all that is pretty much staying as written. Zoning districts, we're gonna get rid of the F floodplain zone. The reason being is it having a defined by parcel boundary makes no sense because floodplains don't follow parcel boundaries. So we're gonna have an FD overlay, which will follow the FEMA floodplain map. And that will be a floodplain overlay rather than a parcel by parcel designation, because you end up with an entire parcel in floodplain zoning district that may not be entirely in the floodplain itself. So this allows use of the properties that are out of the floodplain, and it just makes more sense. It's the board meaning the village board has decided the R1 zoning district is not conducive to the village anymore, so they have asked to remove it entirely. And the majority of those parcels are gonna become either R2 or R3, depending on their location. The old floodplain F district is now going to be called the Waterside District. There's about a half a dozen parcels that are village government owned parcels or OSI owned or Walker Valley Rail Trail owned. They're municipally owned or organizationally owned that are currently F zone. They're gonna become this W zone. We sort of struggled with what to call it, and this was what we've sort of arrived on. But these are parcels that are very near the Walkill River that can be used in some manners, but shouldn't be used for residential or structures.
Is there any map that we can look at?
Not yet. There will be. There is a list in here of the parcels that are changing zoning.
Yeah, I saw that.
And yeah, and it looks more than it is because of all the R1 properties that are changing. There, at some point, it's costly to get a new map done, so we're gonna wait until we get closer to the end to do a new map.
A quick explanation of why R1 is not suited with the village.
The board decided that it was large, R1 was larger lot sizes. And they have been built out more and, the board to create, and I don't want to speak entirely for the village board, but to create more of that community village type environment. These were lots that were, 3/4 of an acre size, and they thought that they didn't want to mandate that those lots, if subdivided, be made to that size. So there were 4 areas up around Moriello Park, the Cooper Street area were a number of R1s. We actually discovered that my market, was zoned R1. Clearly should not be zoned R1, but anyway. But that was their thinking of why. Yeah, is to create smaller lots more. The Schedule A, Schedule of Use Standards, there's a lot of mistakes and discrepancies between the written code and the schedule itself. It's been corrected and updated to match the code, and there is a proposed Schedule A in your packet. The red, quick color code, the red is additions, the blue is deletions, the green are things that were in the code somewhere else. And if you run across any of the purple color, those are changes that the village board has made since we started the review. There's also, like, we had in the schedule of uses, there was a bookstore, there was a clothing store. What we've done is create a definition for 2 types of retail, either small scale retail or larger retail. What you're selling, unless it's something that, like, we kept furniture store and appliance store separate because that involves large truck traffic, larger items, more floor space, but retail is retail, in most cases.
Is there a way to access the actual code from the village website, or do you have to put it, oh, here it is,
Yeah, the current code or the proposed?
both.
So the proposed, if you go to the link on the agenda, I've created a Google document where you can see all these documents. The current code is through the E-code. But you can't access this one through the website. You can only access it through your planning board stuff. And I also sent you guys a link to that as well at some point. We've added some new uses that weren't in existence in the 1990s, which was the last time this wholesale code was adopted. We made provisions for uses that weren't in the schedule of use to be established by the village board after public hearing. So currently, if a use is not defined and in the schedule, it's prohibited. The newer modern way of thinking about it is, let's let the village board, who are the legislative board, let's let them hear a proposal from somebody to add a new use. They review it, if they hold a public hearing, if they decide that yes, this use can be allowed, we're gonna allow it now as a special use in whatever zoning district. The caveat is, like, if it's allowed in one district but not allowed in another district, then it's not allowed. But if it's not, it oftentimes it's called a use not contemplated, where somebody comes up with a new idea or a new type of use, that maybe it's a perfectly good idea. Let's let the village board say yes or no. We've added a specific section for prohibited uses that did not exist. We've added junkyards and dismantling operations as prohibited uses along with the current. There's all the fracking and that type of fuel things that are already in the code in other places. We've moved them into the zoning codes where they should be because they're a use. Adult uses already were not allowed in the village. They continue to not be allowed, and motels are not allowed as defined in the code, which means basically that what you think of as a motel where you drive up and you stay in a single room that has access out. The village does allow for any non-conforming motels to continue, but I'm not certain there are any motels left in the village. I don't believe there are. But we've continued that. Throughout the code, we've changed the word regulations to standards. It may sound kind of minor, but it's the term that most people are using these days as opposed to regulations. Schedule B, which is the zoning standards, there were a number of errors in that. We've corrected all those errors and made some recommendations for some changes there. We've created clearer development and dimensional standards. There were some places that were very fuzzy. We're allowing for multiple buildings on residential properties subject to meeting density standards rather than connecting two family houses. And the reason for this is it creates similar sized buildings that better fit the village community. You know, if you look at 7 Prospect, for example, it's 2-family house. They had to be connected by the code. This would allow them to be built appropriately separated. My feeling is when you look at it physically, you have no idea where the lot line is or isn't. It could be on another parcel. It's just 2 normal size houses in comparison to many of the other, not to single that one out, but that's one that comes to mind because we just dealt with it. So currently under the village code in certain residential districts, you must join 2 single family units as one. It doesn't make sense. Board agreed and has moved away from that idea.
So, put simply, on any given lot that has the capacity to have.
Has the density.
Yeah.
You have to have the density. You don't, yeah.
They can literally build another house on it.
As long as it is, you have the density and they can appropriately fit the site for distance for fire code, and they have to be a certain number of feet apart for fire code.
So I understand how we ended up in a pretty slippery slope by, you know, properties like 7 Prospect and others that are 2 houses that are connected because they had to be, but are really 2 houses on their own. But it seems like a pretty substantial change to then now say you can simply build 2 houses on a lot.
Well, you still have to meet the density as you would on that, yeah.
But you can build 2 houses on your lot.
Yep.
Can I suggest we don't talk about something that's under litigation, just as a, you know.
Fine,
Avoid.
understood.
Are you still restricting people to 2 cats?
7 Prospect, 7 Prospect. I just don't wanna say.
I don't think that's in the code now, but I don't know the answer to that question.
Well,
Yes.
I'm
No
sorry, but.
From household may be allowed.
And we go to executive session and discuss it.
Oh, of course. I just don't want us to say anything in
Well, we
public
couldn't
that-
go into executive session to talk about this because,
I'm out.
yeah.
The attorney brought up litigation. I didn't know what she was referencing.
Okay.
She told me what it was and said we shouldn't talk about it. I just wanted to clarify that we can talk about it in executive session. That's up to the chair.
Oh, you're talking about litigation, yes.
Yeah.
We couldn't discuss the code in executive session. This is not an executive, yeah. I misunderstood what you were saying.
No, that's up to the chair. That's not up to. Anyway, go ahead.
Can I, just to go back to this I guess. Do we? Is this permission to build multiple houses on a single site? Even if, so long as it satisfies all the density? Does it truly solve the problem that has occurred in multiple areas and multiple properties in the community where you combine houses because that's the only way to do it, to make a single unit? I understand why we're trying to do it, or why the code is proposing it, and I'm not trying to extend anybody's evening here tonight. I'm just questioning, does that solution really solve a larger issue when you're then creating multiple houses? I'm just thinking of multiple different areas around the community where we've got multiple buildings on a single lot, and I don't necessarily know that it solves.
I think that's an excellent example of a question that we should write down
Right.
and come back to and review what the code actually says and.
Yeah.
And then.
And it also depends on what you're calling the problem, because what it does solve is the size of the overall structure. That's the one thing it does solve, because if you have two smaller houses, as I was saying, no,
I don't wanna get too
Okay.
into the details tonight.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather just go
Okay.
through the overview and
Okay,
pick out things that we
Yep.
wanna dive
Yep.
into more.
This would establish for standards for parcels where multiple uses are proposed. Currently, the code is silent on whether you can have multiple uses on a property. This will have a set of standards. It allows for density bonuses for green energy, affordable housing, and then the board added senior housing. In the current code, we have different lot sizes, smaller lot sizes for senior housing. Their feeling was, let's keep residential is this lot size for this zoning district. But if you're gonna do senior housing, meaning 55, as defined by the government, 55 and older restricted, they'll give you a density bonus if in return for the senior housing. This will allow for adaptive reuse of parcels and will set standards, meaning if you are gonna redo an existing structure, you don't have to tear it down and rebuild it, you can work within it, and if it, as long as you're not gonna further violate setbacks or any other zoning standard, you're able to continue it as long as you don't further violate it, which we kind of already have in the code anyway. One thing it's gonna allow for, and these are all proposals, is an exception for the height of buildings where somebody proposes the parking inside the structure or below the structure, because it creates less impervious surface. So if you're gonna put parking on the ground floor and build above, commercial, obviously, we're gonna allow, I think it's a 15-foot above the maximum height, in return for you putting the parking inside rather than outside. The number 17 is gone, so that they decided that the DRB would handle that in their review. Currently, there's a set of proposed design preferences, not standards, and I've sent it to the DRB and asked for them to weigh in on it. We're gonna establish a set of general performance standards that are enforceable by the building inspector for all properties, not just ones that are being reviewed by the planning board. For things like water and sewer discharge, inflammables, electrical disturbances, noise, vibration, air pollution, open discharge, safety hazards, and storage. This is common in many codes. It established commercial and residential buffer zones where if you have a commercial next to a residential property. It is going to establish any project that has a land disturbance greater than 1 acre will be an automatic special use, no matter what the situation is. And if you are developing on slopes greater than 15%, and it prohibits development on slopes of 25% or greater. They did add in the code, the 15% is over a certain number of feet.
I was wondering about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because how
Cause
do
you could have a 15% in one small spot and.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't remember the number, but it is in the,
But
it is in the change.
had to average it out. I mean, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
there's a couple of properties I'm thinking of that have.
Yeah, this would be up to the building inspector to review when the application came. It wouldn't fall to you guys to decide.
I see.
It's going to establish outdoor lighting standards and processes for permits. I can tell you, it's probably the single biggest complaint we get in the building department is outdoor lighting. It's gonna establish landscaping standards and allow for the planning board to establish performance guarantees for landscaping. We currently are doing that, but I'm not so sure that code actually states it's silent on it, so we've been okay. It's gonna add some degree of stormwater management standards, and one of the things particular is if the building inspector views your stormwater retention area and there is more greater than 50% sediment buildup, you can be mandated to clean it. It's gonna keep most dimensional standards for all the existing zoning districts. It's gonna fix the issue that we've had with almost every NBR project about the side yard setback, which is the 0 to 15. It's going to state that if you need it to be wider for fire lane access, that it can go up to 35 feet. But only, you can't just decide to build there. If you're forced to do it because of your fire lane access, there's an exception built in for you. We're gonna add supplemental standards in a new Schedule A1 for accessory structures, which will state what needs planning board approval, what needs building department approval, what needs no approvals. Because it's very gray right now. Our code is silent on swimming pools, so there will be standards for swimming pools, and which also in building code includes hot tubs and spas as well. Anything greater than 2 feet in depth, I think is what it is. Maybe it's 30 inches, but. It's gonna clarify fences and wall standards. I haven't seen it here yet in New Paltz, but in some places, people will build a berm. If you say you can only build a 4-foot fence, well, they'll build a 2-foot berm and then they'll put the 4-foot fence on top of the 2-foot berm. We're not gonna allow that. We're gonna say it's measured from the ground level. The animal husbandry section is currently in its own section of code called animals. Animal husbandry is your standard pets, household, residential uses. We brought those sections over for beekeeping and chickens into the zoning code where they belong.
But you haven't changed them?
Have not changed them,
Okay.
left them the same. Maybe corrected a word here or there, but for the most, anything you see in the code itself that's in green was moved over directly from another section of code.
Okay.
The problem is when they're in another section of code, the zoning board of appeals, even if somebody wanted to appeal to them, can't, because it's not a part of zoning. They're only allowed to rule on zoning. So anything that was involving land use that was in its own code is now being brought into the zoning code. It's gonna add code sections for conversion of residential structures to a more intensive use or non-residential structures to a more intensive use. It's gonna require dumpsters and drop-off boxes. They're not quite as prevalent as they used to be, but those clothing drop boxes, they have to be limited to the rear or screen side yards. ADU section is gonna remain as is. We're gonna change home occupations. They'll be classified as 3 different types, type 1, type 2, type 3. gradually increasing in the, the type 1 is almost nothing. The type 2 is a little more intensive, the type 3 is a little more intensive. And then that will say there'll be a set of standards for each type and a set of defining of what classifies as each type and what permit is required for each type. There's going to be a significant code section on signs, including its own set of definitions, regulations, exceptions, dimensional standards, prohibited, design guidelines, filled with pictures as examples. All freestanding signs, no matter what they're involved in, will have to come to the planning board for a sign review. If it's here as part of a bigger project, then it's incorporated into the site plan review. But if somebody wants to put up a new, if they're replacing an existing, no problem. But if they're putting up a new freestanding sign, it will come here for its own sign review done by this board. Where did I leave off? There'll be a new section for off-street parking and loading, which is going to maintain most of the current code. I made very few, if any, changes about parking. The two things that are changed in the vehicle section is there was no standards for electrical vehicle charging station requirements. Now in the code, there will be certain projects, certain types of project mandated how many EV charging. This is to follow the county executive's executive order that was put out about green energy and converting to that by, I think it was 2030, if I remember right. And the county planning board, you've probably seen, has been harping on that, and this is to continue that. The ADA parking requirements they were, excuse me, we were always required to have them, but it wasn't in our code. Our code will now mirror the federal code. There'll be a separate section, meaning a separate article that deals directly with site plan review. It was kind of buried in other places. The Ulster County core habitat areas where they're identified, this will involve the applicant taking a hard look at it, us taking a look at it, not just under seeker, but also under site plan and special use, utilizing the maps that Ulster County has available to us. Currently, the fee schedule, if somebody amends an approved site plan, the current is based on if you're doing 50% or greater, it's half, I think, and if you're doing less than 50%, it's a quarter or something. It makes no sense because the original site plan was could potentially have been a large fee. So now the fee schedule is going to be based on the amendment itself, what's being proposed. This will create a new category. So we'll have site plan, we'll also have minor site plan. This will be kind of like what you asked about earlier today, Rich, about the driveway. Many residential uses will now fall under this minor site plan. The board was a little uncomfortable, meaning the village board, about just giving the building inspector 100% oversight over this. So what they will do is they will be reviewed by the building inspector, and every meeting he or she will forward to this board a list of these are the minor site plans I've received since your previous meeting, along with the information. The board will get a shot to look at them. You can make comments back to the building inspector, but it's not going to come to us for site plan review, public hearing, all that. It keeps you guys in the loop and knowing what's going on. It gives you the opportunity to ask questions, present comments, but allows the process to move through quicker and be less costly to the applicant. The village board felt comfortable with this method of doing it. Some communities just leave it strictly to the building inspector. I'll leave it to you guys to decide if you like this or don't like this, but this was a middle ground kind of thing. What's that?
I don't love the idea, because it feels like we still hold some responsibility for it,
Yeah.
even though we don't, so it's like, we missed something and now
Yeah.
we've missed something.
Yeah. What it does is it cuts out the cost and the
Just got
time.
on the time, I just,
Yeah,
Can I just,
yeah.
let's go on, but this is where we would not be reviewing the driveway section tonight.
Yeah, you would, Alex would have referred it to you, you would have looked at it and you would have said, yeah, we got no issues, or, hey, you didn't notice there's a code here that says it can only be 18 feet instead of 20.
yeah, but if we're having to identify things like that, then it should be reviewed. If we're not reviewing it.
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
don't like the idea of
Well,
doing something.
You guys can
Take
decide.
a look and see what you think, kind of thing. It's not.
Yep. And there's only certain criteria that do that, and they're outlined in the code.
Thanks.
One thing, we've been doing it because state law allows it, but our code is silent on it. This will allow the planning board to give a 1-year extension on site plan approvals. It will also establish a new section of code that deals just with special uses, its own section. There's a thing in the code that is, in my opinion, illegal. It says that the planning board can enforce special use permit violations. And Emily's shaking her head, no, I don't believe you guys can enforce violations in any way, so that will be removed. Clarifies that special use reviews also are de facto site plan reviews as well. Also allows the planning board to give a special use approval extension of 1 year. There'll be new standards for particular uses. We have a section of existing that we're gonna be retained, but the new ones that will, adult use cannabis related businesses. And the village board wants this, dispensaries should be treated the same as any other retail. And consumption facilities to be treated the same as bars. That's their opinion of how to handle it in terms of special use and site plan. Animal boarding, not just vets, but kennels. Is the code silent on it? We're gonna add a section on that. There's a term in the code called essential services, when really what it is emergency services, meaning rescue, fire, any type of those things. We're gonna add accessory use standards to hotels to limit the percentage of gross floor area, so you don't get a hotel that suddenly becomes a mega mall kind of thing. It's primarily a hotel, and any accessory have to accompany the hotel. It's gonna set a new set of standards for multifamily housing uses. Outdoor display and outdoor sales, our code is silent on it. This will set a set of standards for outdoor display and sales. Same with outdoor storage of materials. We're bringing over the short-term transient rental into the zoning code. It's currently in a standalone in housing. It really does belong. The mayor has said he's not opposed to it being tweaked or changed. At the moment, it's just been carried over, but he admits it could probably use a little look at, and I said I'd go back to it. Our code is totally silent on solar energy. There's nothing. There is a very extensive section now about solar energy. Including battery storage. Vehicle and equipment sales, service and repair, there's a new section involved those. Currently, there was like car sales lot and this, now it's all just sort of in one general category. And then
With all those, are you grandfathering,
anything that's pre-existing is grandfathered and can continue as is. Nothing, we can't, by changing the code, nothing can be forced to go away.
Oh.
Wireless telecommunications facilities, we do not have any currently in the village, but we may someday, and so there's.
Include the antenna?
Yep, yep. And the section that is written is specifically, I can tell you it's been court tested. This is one I wrote for the town of Rochester. And it gives the local board, meaning you guys, all the review powers that the federal government says we can review. There are certain aspects of wireless towers that the federal government says are not reviewable. Anything we can review, this code gives to us. The Schedule A, which is we added the new uses. We removed a lot of specific uses, like I said before. We used to have professional offices and general offices. I'm not sure really what the difference is between them. And, oh, I missed this one, I'm sorry, 51. We're gonna separate non-conforming uses and structures. Right now, they're in the code kind of as one and the same. They are two very different things. You could have a non-conforming structure as a conforming use. You could have the other way around, a conforming structure and a non-conforming use. So there would be two separate sets of standards. The A1 schedule for the accessory structures is a new schedule. And the Schedule B, we've added minimum lot width and depth, which is not in the code. And currently, and we retain mostly existing. Real quick, 5 more minutes of your time and then we'll get out of here. But what this next document is shows you the current chapters and the changes. So you can kind of look through that and see what's changed, what's moved around, what's added. This is a list of the parcels that will change zoning. This is the Schedule A, which we've tried to make it into a more readable, easily done document. Many of these uses, that are proposed, this will be a separate set of discussion, whether like something should be a special use versus a site plan. I'm sure there'll be a bit of discussion about that. The A1, this will, and Rich, this is sort of your answer to your question there. Anything that's the MSP would be the minor site plan, things that just go directly to the building inspector, or anything that just needs a building permit and no review. And then this last document is Schedule B, which would be the district standards. So that's the beginnings.
Very helpful.
One question is the zoning code the place where the village board would determine, or would define or redefine family?
Yes, I have done that in the new code and they've looked at it. I want Emily to look at it. I want Will to look at it.
Not in this list though.
It's in the definitions section.
Yeah, I started to, I would like to talk more about that. It's
Absolutely.
not just that one, but how transient fits to get, how
Yeah.
we make
Yeah.
sure that these categories
Yeah,
are.
and if you want to talk offline with just us
Sure,
first, we
yeah.
can do that. So, yeah.
Has there been any conversation with the village about the issue of renting to people by the bed?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I know that's hard. That's a small part.
Well, I see it the other way
That is
around, that's potentially the whole part, because if you define family, then you may not have a question as to whether someone's renting a room independently, because the definition of family will determine that.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, so they are discussing.
They're discussing to a degree, but what the mayor and the board have said is they don't want to get involved in the operation of, because there's land use and then there's operational. And they view that as operational. If you rent by the bedroom and it's a one-family house, it's still a one-family house. How you choose, now, there is a definition for rooming house that is still the current definition, and it's carrying over in the proposed is the person must live on site. Yeah.
They're just, anyway, I'm just reacting to all the people we've heard.
Understood.
How many years?
They're not sure it's legal to say you can't rent by the bedroom.
No reason not to. If the board wants to look at it, I mean, I would like to look at it.
Yeah.
Just a difference, all them.
Well, yeah, there are cases about the board's role in the business of residential. We could get into it more, but the board is limited in that. Yeah.
I couldn't think regulate things.
It's 100% unenforceable, first of all.
Well, there's a lot in here that's unenforceable, but we'll go through that in detail. When we go through detail, there's a lot that's unenforceable.
Okay,
So the
so,
new code, because the old code is on the village site.
yeah,
And the new code, you say you've sent us a link.
I sent you a link and every agenda that coming up that we talk about it, there will be a link and
On the agenda, okay.
on the agenda, and when you go to that, it's a Google Doc of all the forms as they exist right now, meaning, because the village board is constantly, I'm meeting with them as well, and they're making tweaks, and when they update something, I'm updating it to you guys. But I would ask that you guys hang on to these and bring them back next meeting, so I don't have to print them all out again.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if I update one page, I'll bring you the new page, but,
Thank you.
thank you.
it's really helpful.
Thanks for your time.
Adjourn.
So.
All in favor?
Second,
Aye.
please.
Aye.
Have we confirmed any alternates?